Good morning students. Today we'll start our lecture 5 on the topic water and types of water in the soil. As you all know that water plays a very important role. We call it as elixir of life, a universal solvent that plays an important role for life to exist on this earth. Water is a constituent of protoplasm. Cell turgidity is played and maintained. It is mainly because of the presence of water. It acts as a universal solvent. Any solute can dissolve, mainly the water soluble solute dissolve in water. It is a transpiration carrier of nutrient. The transpiration pull of water in the plant plays a very important role in absorption of nutrient from the soil. And the next is they are used for the photosynthase, and the photosynthase are also converted to water to various plants of the plant. As you all know that water plays a significant role in the process of photosynthesis and also the transportation of these photosynthase from the solute to the from source to the solute, from source to the sink also takes place by the presence of water, and 90% of the fresh body weight of the plant is made with the water. It plays a very important role in synthesis of food. So when studying all these, water we call it as elixir of life, and it plays a very important role in plant growth and development. Further, if you see the functions of the water, water is absorbed by the root, water travels through the plant, and water evaporates from the leaves. In this process, nutrient is also absorbed from this. It maintains the cell turgidity and it maintains overall growth of the plant. So, water plays a significant role in the developmental process of the plant. It also maintains the turgidity of the cell. It plays a very important role in seed germination. It plays a very important role in hydraulic processes in the plant, that is conversion of starch to the sugar. It plays a very important role in transpiration. What is transpiration? The loss of water from the plant surface by which plant maintains its temperature is also dealt by the water. Water regulates the temperature and cools the plant surface, and it plays a very important role in chemical, physical and biological reactions that are occurring in the soil. So under considering all these, water is much required thing for the plant growth and development. The definitions of water: it is the liquid that descends from the cloud as a rain, forms streams, lakes and seas, and is a major constituent of the all living organism on this earth. It is the chemical formula is H2O. It freezes at 0 degree centigrade and its boiling temperature is 100 degree centigrade, and the maximum density of water is at 4 degree centigrade. You see, it is the properties of water. It is bipolar in nature. It has two poles. Bipolar in nature. H bonded with the O. The two hydrogen atom link the oxygen atom at an angle of 105 degree centigrade. This is very important with respect to competitive point of view. The two hydrogen atom link the oxygen at an angle of 105 degree, and the water molecules are dipolar in nature, that it is two polar, which imports water to water molecules and attraction for their neighbor. Water molecules cling to each other through hydrogen bonding and acting like individually, and the force that is a cohesion force, and attraction of water with that of a soil we call it as adhesion. There is a few important terms here. The latent heat of fusion or melting of water is 334 kilojoules per kg. The latent heat of evaporation is 540 calorie per gram, and latent heat of condensation is 620 calorie per gram. These terms are very important with respect to exam point of view. What is the latent heat of evaporation? 540, condensation is 620, and with respect to the fusion it is 333 kilojoules per kg. The chemical formula is H2O. The molar mass of water is 18.01 gram per mole, and the density of water is maximum at 4 degree centigrade. For the solid, it is 0.916 gram per ml at 0 degree centigrade, and it is liquid, it is close to 1. So density of water we call it as 1. The boiling point it is 100 degree centigrade. The melting point is 0 degree Celsius. That is 0 degree centigrade. The next, the role of water in the plant, as we have already studied this. It plays a very important role in maintaining the cell turgidity, its reactivity, thermal stability, reactant, transportation of nutrients. So it has multiple roles. Then coming with all understanding the role of water, the most important topic of today's class is the types of water. Generally, we have three types of water in the soil: the hygroscopic water, the capillary water, and the gravitational water. Name indicates hygroscopic. Water is held very tightly between the soil particles and very difficult for a plant to absorb this water. We call it as hygroscopic water. The next, capillary water. Water which is held by the force of tension, surface tension, and the continuous film around the side particles, and it's a capillary space. The water which is generally present in the micropores, which is available for the plant to uptake, and it is present in the form of film around the soil particle. If this is a soil particle, water is present as a film around the soil particle. We call it as capillary water. The next, gravitational water, under generally the saturated condition, which is under the influence of a gravity, that moves freely under the influence of a gravity, we call it as gravitational water. This diagram is very important. To see here, the upper surface of this rectangular box, there is at a saturated condition. Saturation, what is the soil moisture tension? It is 0 bar. It is 0 bar. When we move further, there is a term called as field capacity. The soil moisture tension at a field capacity is 0.33 bar. 0.33 bar. Further, if we move ahead, to see this, the soil moisture potential at wilting point, it is 15 bar. We call it as permanent wilting point. At a hygroscopic coefficient or hygroscopic water, it is 31 bar. Which water is available? The water which is present between field capacity to the permanent wilting point, we call it as available water. And the water which is present between permanent wilting point and hygroscopic water, we call it as unavailable water. And the total water between the field capacity to hygroscopic dent, we call it as capillary water. And the water which is present between saturation to field capacity, it is a superfluous. It flows under the influence of gravity. We call it as gravitational water. And the water beyond the hygroscopic water, that is hygroscopic water, which is generally present in a tight form with the soil and very hard to absorb or remove this water from the plant by the plant. So this chart is very important. The bar pressure and the condition of the field capacity, it is 0.33 bar. The wilting point is 51 bar. At hygroscopic coefficient, it is 31 bar. The water between field capacity to the permanent wilting point, we call it as available water. Yes, we'll study individually. Gravitational water, as the name indicates, it is under the influence of a gravity. It flows superfluously. It is held at a bar pressure of 0.02.33 bar and the soil moisture tension, and it moves downward freely under the influence of water. As it moves freely, we also call it as a free water. Even though the gravitational water is retained with low energy, it is very little use for the plant because it moves under the influence of gravity, does not hold it by the soil. So it is of less use for the plant. The next, therefore, is removed by the soil profile through natural drainage, generally regarded as prerequisite for the optimum plant growth and development. Gravitational water is of no use to the plant. It is of no use to the plant. Due to it is drained under the influence of gravity, it reduces the aeration in the soil and hence it removes from the soil is necessary for the optimum plant growth. As it is of no use, because if you consider this as a soil, under the influence of gravity, water moves down from the soil. So plant cannot absorb the water from the soil because it is not held in the soil. It is gone through superflow. So under such circumstances, it is of no use. So what happens if this water is there in the soil? It makes the soil saturated. The aeration capacity of the soil is reduced, and which is not good for the plant growth. The next is the capillary water. As we all know, there is a capillary pores present in the soil. What are the capillary pores? It is micropores which are present in the soil, and water held in these micropores is held by a force of adhesion, cohesion, surface tension, and held at a pressure up to 0.33 bar to 31 bar. The capillary water I am talking about in the image, the capillary water. the capillary water. So, however, the water within the capillary rings is not equally available. It is readily available from 0.33 bar to 15 bar. Readily available from 0.33 bar means field capacity, then 15 bar is permanent wilting point. So, I was talking about the available water. The water is available between field capacity to the permanent wilting point. It is at a bar pressure of 0.33 bar to the 15 bar. Further, when soil exerts tension of 15 bar to 31 bar, water is held very tightly and it is of practically no use. So we call it as unavailable water. So with respect to exam point of view, water is held at between what 2 bar? It is held between 0.33 bar, that is at the field capacity, to 15 bar at the permanent wilting point. And the capillary water moves in any direction but always in the direction of increasing tension. Where there is low water, always water moves from the higher concentration of water to the lower water. So it moves through the increasing tension or decreasing potential. With respect to exam point of view, this is very important. Water always moves towards the increasing tension and decreasing the potential. Increasing tension, decreasing the potential. The next we have hygroscopic water. Water which is held very tightly in the soil particle in a vapor form, in a gaseous form, which plant cannot absorb from the soil. That water we call it as hygroscopic water. It is held at a tension of 31 bar, but when we are expressing in a kilopascal, it is 3100 kilopascal. That is 1 bar is equal to 100 kilopascal. Then next, it is essentially non-liquid and moves in the form of vapor. Plant cannot absorb such water because it is held very tenaciously in the soil particles. So hygroscopic water cannot be separated from the soil unless it is heated at 100 degrees centigrade and about 24 hours. If you want to separate this water, you have to place it in an oven or heat it for 100 to 105 degrees centigrade, then only you can separate the hygroscopic water. Yes, we discussed about soil moisture content, the water content in the soil and water properties. For liking my teaching, please subscribe, and if you have any suggestion, please drop in the comment box. Next class, we'll start with the soil moisture concept in the lecture 6. Thank you.